Hello everyone and welcome to the fifth and final round of this Pauper League with blue-white familiars. We are playing against Blloodpet himself, who is a known Pauper brewer, and lately I recall he's been on his blue-white UW Tron. He is on the play and looks to me like that could be the case what he's playing. We've got a reasonable 7 card hand. And yeah, looks like it's definitely the blue-white Tron. Here I'm gonna fetch 4 planes and play a Faithful. This lines up nicely as next turn we can play out Familiar and Bounce Land. And in the next one we can start drawing some cards finally. So this Angelic removal probably won't be the most effective cards against us. I bet it's mostly there if we want to like evoke his Muldrifter. This triggers it, saves the Muldrifter and makes it come back. So it's a little bit like our Snap or Flicker, but a weaker version in my opinion. Here we're gonna Analysis, Bounce Land and pass, discarding one of the spare lands. And it looks like opponent doesn't have much action going on, so we're gonna use this opportunity and cast as many spells as we can. Still nothing going on. That's a little sad for the opponent. He's got all the mana in the world, but nothing to do with it. While we are gonna keep drawing cards with our deep analyses. I'm just going to play the Seagate and set up for great next turn with 3 snaps and a Muldrifter. That should probably do the trick. I'm not worried of him having any removal in this deck, and I don't even think he's playing Capsize, which is probably the only thing we could worry about at this moment. Evoking some Muldrifters, doing the snap trick, and this should draw us to whatever we need. We'll end up getting a bazillion cards from this. Another Fam might as well play it out. Again, I don't think it's in any danger of dying or anything like that. And even though we do not find our full combo that turn, we are still so much ahead that whatever the opponent does at this point, he's not beating us, so he quickly realizes that and concedes here. Game 2 against blue-white Tron. I decided on adding an additional copy of Stonehorn Dignitary to have an extra defense against Ulamog's Crusher, which I believe the opponent is playing. A Hoodwink to be able to bounce their Journeys and Oblivion Rings, freeing up my creatures from underneath them. And a Negate to counter his enchantments. I sided out 2 Godfar's Faithful. I figure the life gain probably won't be as important in this matchup, and 1 copy of Serrated Arrows out. We are on the draw and unfortunately on a mulligan. I am actually going to go ahead and keep this very questionable 6 card hand. At least it's got enough land so I can hit my land drop every turn and hopefully let the Preordain and draw steps draw me into something relevant. But this kind of keep could definitely get punished by a fast aggressive start from the opponent. Which looks like could be the case, as he's already on 2 Tron land and a Prism. I'm going to preordain first, trying to get more information, and gonna get the preordain again from this and play that one to try to set up for some action the next turn, putting the analysis on top, on flicker on bottom. But here the opponent has a natural Tron on turn 3, which is quite threatening. And follows it up with some card draw. So we can Seagate, get a FAM off of it, and hope opponent doesn't deploy anything too concerning. Evoke on Muldrifter is not that bad, but Custody Squire getting it back looks like we could be in trouble this game. Opponent also having Seal of Removal to kind of disrupt our familiars, presumably. And there's the Ulamox Crusher, which we do have the snap for, but it might not be enough, as we're also getting attacked in the air and do not have that much action going on quite yet. Cycling for some basics, because why not, might as well thin the deck a bit. And surprisingly, our familiar isn't getting bounced quite yet. I am going to play in a way that I at least get some value off of it before it gets returned into my hand. Opponent is popping the seal in response to a discounted analysis, and I am going to respond by casting a discounted snap, so I still get 2 extra mana out of the familiar deal. And I get to replay that one later. But here the opponent is locking down my FAM, which is pretty unfortunate for us, and recasting the Crusher, which now we do not have a clear answer for. Thereby I'm going to start by Faithful to gain a couple more life to mitigate the beats, and starting off with Deep Analysis, trying to maybe hit another snap. But we are not that fortunate, so I'm just evoking a Muldrifter and trying to set up for next turn, should we hit some relevant action. Here we have to start sacrificing our permanents to the Crusher, and it's possible that I was supposed to sacrifice the Faithful instead of a land, as now we cannot play the wall and snap in one turn due to the lack of mana. Opponent also adding up on the clock quite a bit. So here I'm going to kind of desperation preordain, try to find something relevant. We do hit the FAM, but it's still not enough by itself, so I'm trying to evoke a Muldrifter, try to hit like a double snap off of it. But we're not that lucky, so there's no point playing this game anymore as we are dead on the board. The final game, we are on the play but with an unkeepable hand. This 6 looks better and we are going to scry Preordain to the top. Of course, starting off by the Faithful. And here I am following up with a Faithful into Preordain instead of playing out a Fam, as there's currently no benefit to playing the Fam, so I might as well try to hit some action off of the Preordain first. Putting Wilds and Seagate on top of my library. And here I can play the Fam, hope it doesn't get disrupted, and pass the turn. Of course, opponent has the journey for it, which is unfortunate, but nothing we could have done. We still got a Seagate we can play for next turn. Trying to hit more land drops. Nope, but we get a deep analysis, so if we happen to draw a land, we'll be in a good shape. Opponent has an analysis of their own. It's a card I really like, so I respect them playing that. And here we are fortunate enough to mice an island of our own and get 2 cards as well. Opponent on another deep analysis. Perfect. We draw a familiar. Proceed by flashing back the analysis. Getting an island off of this Ash Barrens and passing the turn. Leaving up Snap should the opponent try to kill this familiar as well. And or Brainstorm should he do nothing. He's gonna just bounce our familiar to slow our development down, which I'm okay with. And play another seal. We'll Brainstorm here and we hit some interesting cards. So what I ended up going with is put Snap and Preordain on top. Not using the Ashburns trick, even though we could have shuffled our library with it during our upkeep. Instead, I am going to start off by playing the familiar, running out the Sage Row. Opponent is of course responding by the seal, and again we get to max out on our familiar mana discount by casting Snap in response on our Seagate, untapping the white swords so that we can recast familiar right away. And I'm also going to hoodwink the opponent's tower, because you will note they have 2 Tron lands already and a map out, thereby this slows down them assembling Tron for 1 turn, so we deprive them of like 4 mana next turn. Recasting the Fam and passing the turn. Opponents flashing back their analysis. They are not that threatened with our small beaters, so it's okay them losing the life. and a collision honor guard, which to be honest isn't great against us. The only card this disrupts a little bit are our snaps. So we have to target the honor guard. This does not work against flickers though. Starting off with a preordain. And I don't want neither of those cards. Trying to hit some more action, and here we have a second familiar. Perfect. Milling ourselves so that we can like try to hit a ghostly flicker that we could return with our mnemonic wall. Opponent finally hitting Tron and getting more card draw. At this point they are drawing more cards than we are, which is to say something. But looks like they don't have that much relevant action to go with it, so here we get our turn. We are also a little bit light on things to do, as we cannot snap our Oracle, we can only snap the honor guards. Therefore I'm bringing back a Brainstorm with this mnemonic wall and starting to mill the opponent via Sage Row. Getting back the Ash Baron so that I have a shuffle effect. And that's what I'm gonna do, shuffling two of these lands away. Getting the last basic in our deck and playing some Seagate, milling the opponent a little bit. At that point I didn't quite realize that Custody Squire can also bring back enchantments. And we also happened to mill opponent's Oblivion Ring with our Sage Row last turn, so it probably wasn't the wisest to start milling them right away, thereby giving them an option to lock our Sage Row down. I mean, at this point they are probably not killing us by attacking, and also they only have 21 cards in their library while we are still at 30. So we could theoretically just like dawdle around and try to wait for them to draw themselves out, as I don't think they have relevant cards that could swing the game at this point. But I don't think that would be an honorable end to this league, so I would rather prefer to kill them the proper way. Here we get a flicker on our wall and Seagate, getting the card draw engine on. And what I'm looking for is another wall or another flicker so that I can return the Hoodwink from my graveyard, bouncing the O-ring that's currently locking down my Sage Row. Snapping on their creatures just to generate some extra mana and draw more cards. We didn't end up hitting anything too relevant, but at least we've got a full grip of 7 now and got the Stonehorn lock should the opponent play an Ullmax Crasher. They are getting back another Seal of Removal so that they can disrupt our combo a little bit. And I'm still on my quest trying to find another flicker or wall. There we have a flicker, so I'm flickering the wall but getting bad the hoodwink instead. Bouncing the O-ring to get my mill win condition into play. Might as well start off with a Maldrifter, trying to hit more relevant spells, and there goes another flicker just in case something goes wrong. Now I'm trying to generate some more mana with snaps on their honor guards. And we've only got 5 minutes left, so it's about time to close this game out. So in response to me doing the infinite flickers on my wall and island trick, opponent can bounce the wall so that I have to replay it. I'm still not losing the flicker as I'll get it back with the wall that's getting replayed. Opponent doing the same trick again, bouncing my wall in response to the flicker, but I still have enough mana to replay it, get my flicker back, and I even have a backup flicker should he have like a counter spell, but it doesn't seem to be the case for their deck. Well then, that was it for the match and for the league. We finished up at 4-1, and I will definitely be back for more blue-white familiars action or some other equally unfair deck. Thank you for watching and have a good one.